kept going around our office, so apologize for that. But glad that we have the technology to do it online.
I just told her the leg hearing problem for surgery, like whenever it's sitting here, just oops, no, three hands up.
Just sent you an email. Rachel, why is Rachel trying to get online?
On all of us, huh? On the Zoom, on the Teams link.
Yeah, Teams.
I just texted her and I just put her in Teams. I said, go to the Zoom link.
Okay, tell her to.
I'm gonna call her.
Thank you.
Since we're not starting yet.
You guys don't ever start like you do.
Oh, are you talking to son of the house?
I don't know which one I want to talk about.
House.
Okay. Keep getting like there's not enough memory on
To be fair,
So too much.
they have all
Go
their
to the Zoom link.
committees.
You have to turn and go to the Teams
A lot
link.
of appointments,
much on what.
and they have a lot of appointments, so
Yeah, so we just want you to know, go to the Zoom link.
we end at 3:45, so they go at
See your
4 o'clock.
shiny face soon. Bye.
And they also tend to be very.
We'll take everybody to.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Okay,
when I have
awesome.
better
We'll take everything.
references, I'm gonna pretend like I'm just never gonna explain that.
There's too much on your desktop.
Yeah, I kind of.
Everything's on there.
You've been in
I just moved everyone on and I'm trying to then I'll put it back.
there are some proposed.
Michelle, you need to kind of explain it. Situation. If it's,
Are you ready?
if you wanted Michelle to kind of add some additional clarity to the meeting agenda and everything.
Are we ready to start? We need to stream first, though, if we're ready to start.
That is all ready to go.
So are we live now?
We're ready to go, Randy.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to Standards and Assessment. This is a continuation of work that we began 2 days ago and that we will continue on Friday as well in our Standards of Assessment Committee meeting. Before we begin, I would like to turn just a moment over to Michelle Buse, who can give just a little statement of to clarify some of the concerns that have been brought forward via email and some phone calls earlier this afternoon. Please go ahead.
Yes, we received a notice that our public meetings notice didn't get posted until this morning at 10 o'clock. And although this committee is not subject to the Open and Public Meetings Act, it is the practice of the board to have its committees post as if it were, so that the public is aware of everything that's going to be addressed in the committee meeting. And our CTE standards, we've been talking the last couple of meetings and knowing that it's going to be carried over into the next meetings, but there were a couple of rules that were added onto the agenda and that didn't get noticed until 10 this morning. And so I believe that leadership has decided that those two will be postponed until Friday. Next Friday's meeting, so that it gives the public more notice and more opportunity to give comment or to attend that meeting than they felt like they had for this one. So we want to still give opportunity for any public members of the public who have asked for time to be able to comment on that, to do that today if they would like, or if they would like to hold off and do that on Friday, next Friday, they can do that as well. So we'll give you the opportunity to do that either time or both times if you feel more comfortable with that. So Randy, I'll turn that back over to you.
Thank you very much.
May I comment, Chair?
That's great. So we just wanted to be very clear that we welcome public comment. We will not be addressing the additional items on the agenda today, as was mentioned, that we will continue today for 3 hours working on CTE standards. But we are happy to have public comment if some of you had planned to give public comment in regards to the additional agenda items.
You have the list,
We
right?
have in person, Joel Briscoe, and online, Kevin, Darlene, Amara, Jonathan, Dory, and CJ. And we're happy to hear from you today. If you prefer to make a comment on the day that we're actually going to be discussing this agenda item, you can wait until we do that on Friday, a week from Friday, in our normal standards and assessment meeting in conjunction with our monthly board meetings. But we're happy to hear from you today. And this will all be recorded. We can refer back to it. And we're eager to hear your input, whichever day is most convenient for you and whichever day you'd like to speak. So we're going to actually begin with the public comment. And Joel, I believe you're our first person up. And maybe if you move on over here to the table so that you can be caught in the camera, where any of these side seats are good. The camera is coming from up here, shooting this way, and we'd love to hear from you if that's convenient for you today.
Today's a good time. I'm here.
Great.
Jenny, Sarah, we haven't met. I hear good things about you.
Randy.
People like you. That's not the only criteria. I think that's no more. I appreciate the opportunity to address this committee of the state school board. My remarks focus on the proposal to remove R277-328 from the state board rule, which raises some questions. I understand some board members believe the purpose or effects of 277-328 is to promote and commit the teaching of critical race theory in Utah public schools, and that this section of code was unnecessary because of the passage of HB 427 in the last legislative session. Competent attorneys have told me there's no legal conflict between HB 427 and board R277-328. There is significant overlap between both, with some differences, including the lack of protection of gender in HB 427, and no requirement in HB 427 for LEAs to provide professional learning to educators concerning educational equity. I assume that anything that is not banned is permitted. So that should the state school board vote to eliminate R277-328, LEAs that continue to provide protections for gender and continue to provide professional learning about educational equity will remain within the scope. Likewise, if the USBE will no longer be creating a model for professional learning for LEAs may create their own. And the removal of section 5 in R277-328 will not prevent educators from conducting rich and productive learning opportunities for their students that include vigorous discussions that are the hallmark of enthusiastic learning and participation in the marketplace of ideas. Section 5 of 277-328 requires LEAs to give parents access to the content of professional learning provided by a school or school district. I assume that if this language is repealed, LEAs can continue to provide this information to parents who have children in their schools. Critical race theory. Critical race theory came into the national dialogue summer of 2020. I bought some books and did some research. As a teacher of U.S. government citizenship, U.S. history, advanced placement U.S. government, and advanced placement comparative government, I felt I should know about critical race theory. I think I was sometimes a pretty good high school social studies teacher. I can tell you that according to the definition of critical race theory used by its practitioners, I never taught critical race theory in my years as a teacher in Utah public schools. Some sophisticated political concepts are covered in advanced placement government classes. CRT is not one of them, and I doubt that CRT is systematically taught by any in Utah public schools today. Something else might be being taught in public schools that some are calling CRT, but it's not critical race theory. Great.
Thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate the children. Thank you. Very helpful. We have Kevin Corus online. Are you there with us, Kevin?
Yes, I am, Chair Booth. Can you hear me?
Like to speak today, or would you like to postpone until a week from Friday?
I'll speak today since I'm here, and
Excellent. Good.
to give you time.
Well, the
Give you
time
time
is
to.
yours. We're all
All right.
ears.
Okay. No, thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Dr. Kevin Corus. I am here to speak in regards to, it was previously agenda item 1.3, the repeal for R277. And I'm speaking as a parent and also with expertise in developmental theory. I wanted to be here to ask you not to repeal R277, the educational equity in schools. The potential social and educational benefits of this rule far outweigh any perceived costs. Educators should be aware of the social, environmental, and cultural factors within and beyond the classroom that contribute to a student's cognitive development and educational performance, which is supported by a body of data-informed research. I don't see anything in this rule that is inconsistent with House Bill 427. If anything, they share similar language. I can't help but think that the proposed repeal is motivated by political incentive, given its support by the Utah Republican Party, rather than thinking what's best for my child's and other children's education. So as you hope that soaks in as you go into your next week and discuss that agenda item. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Corus. We appreciate your comments. All right, we have online Darlene McDonald. Darlene, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chair Booth, and other members of the board. My name is Darlene McDonald. I am here today to speak as the director of One Utah Project. My comment is in regard to the board decision to consider the repeal of R277-328, educational equity in schools. I would like to start by saying in October of last year, an audit from the Office of the Legislative Auditor General released a 68-page report that found no evidence that critical race theory is widely taught in Utah's K-12. It is not taught in Utah's public schools. Despite that report and the evidence gathered, far right-wing political groups have continued to attack public education in its effort to provide a diverse education for its students. It is not coincidental that the proposal to repeal R277-328 coincides with a sponsor of one of your state school board members on a resolution for the GOP state Republican Party that appeared on their website. The repeal, as well as the sponsorship of that resolution, is almost verbatim to what was spoken in a video that was found from a year ago during the height of the critical race theory dilemma, I should say. So I hope that the board will reconsider the decision to repeal educational equity in schools. And I hope that we can continue to have a diverse and equitable school environment for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McDonald. We appreciate your input, and we will certainly take it into consideration as we move forward with this important item. Next, we have Amara Bray. Amara, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. It's Amra, but I don't mind the other pronunciation.
All right.
Okay. Oh, I just learned this morning our 277-328 is being considered for repeal because it supposedly conflicts with the law passed by the state legislature this year, HB 427. As I read this law, the part that stands out is why this rule might look conflicting is the part that says a school, district, or personnel may not teach that someone is inherently racist based on their race. However, the point of R 277-328 is not to teach white kids to be ashamed of themselves, their race, or the past actions of white people in America. The point of R 277-328 is to actually address inequity and racism in schools. We are continuing to see inequity in Utah schools. Even though students of color are a relatively small percentage of students, they are disproportionately the target of disciplinary actions. Unless you believe that students of color are inherently worse kids, and if you do believe that, maybe examine why you think that. You have to admit that all kids aren't being treated the same in our schools. Inequity is still a problem. I have a daughter that's deaf. She has cochlear implants, but still has trouble hearing the sound from videos or over the phone. She's a smart kid. However, in her upper level math class at Maple Mountain High School, she kept getting consistently poor grades. When we looked into it, we found the teacher didn't have a textbook he taught from. He only had videos available online of him teaching each principal with a whiteboard, with his back consistently turned to the camera, making even lip reading impossible. Now, some might say all kids got the same treatment in the class, so it was fair. However, it was impossible for my daughter to succeed without other resources. This is the principle of equity. I ask you to please keep equity as a priority in Utah school. It's a false notion that R 277-328 violates HB 427. Please do not repeal this rule. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Bray. We appreciate your input. Next, we would love to hear from Jonathan.
Hello, can you hear me, Chair Booth?
Yes, you're there. Thank
Okay.
you.
My name's Jonathan Bejarano, and although I am against repealing the rule 328, I would like to just talk about this committee just for a second. This committee to me has been appalling, the discussions that I've heard. This committee, I would encourage the public to go back and watch what's going on in standards and assessments. It is dumbfounding. I am very disappointed in the discussions that we're having. On November 21st, 2022, a member of your committee was arguing, saying that for Black Americans, rights were clarified rather than extended. And so time and time again, these changes to standards where we're trying to say, oh, we can't talk about equity, or we can't treat people, we can just treat people kindly. We can't treat people equitably. The legislature is going to come in and be upset at us. I'm appalled at the move to repeal R 277-328. And I would just like to say on that point, the resolution is, I don't know who wrote that. I don't know where it came from, but I read it. I did my research on it, and it mischaracterizes critical race theory. The resolution begins by mischaracterizing critical race theory as a worldview rooted in the Frankfurt School, Marxism, and Paulo Freire's ideas. I've read Paulo Freire. I don't know why Paulo Freire even fits in this context. I don't know. CRT is a legal and academic framework that emerged in the United States to examine how systemic racism and racial disparities persist in society. So in my opinion, as I look back at my family and how we've been treated, I went to kindergarten, Hillview Elementary. You know, I was educated throughout my whole entire time here in Utah in the public system. I'm just concerned that we are making it ridiculously hard for teachers to be able to say things that might upset anybody. The rules and the laws are too vague. We don't know what's going on. And I'm reminded about rules that we've had to kind of eliminate slavery, and now we're just saying, oh, it clarifies slavery. And I think the context, I think we just need to go back to the basics, start listening to people. Don't talk about the legislature. You guys are in charge of, you have the direct control and supervision of education, and it should not be political. And that's what this is turning into. So please go back to just teaching the basics. Let's not worry about offending or whatever the legislature does. That's not your purview. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jonathan. All right. Next, may we hear from Dory Kim.
Hello, my name is Dory Kim. You're actually my representative, Chairman Booth.
Great.
Thank you, Chairman Booth and committee members for taking the time to listen to public comment. I'm here to address the repeal of 3277328 or R277328. I am a former educator and I have 4 children, 3 of which are in the public school system currently. I was born and raised in Utah. I have a Japanese Hawaiian ancestry, and so that was complicated at times as a student growing up here. And so I was really excited to hear a couple years ago when this educational equity in schools resolution was passed. This resolution is not strictly about race, and I think that is an issue that it's being characterized as a CRT pushing resolution when it impacts students beyond racial identities. This also benefits students who are marginalized. It benefits students with unique backgrounds, students with disabilities, those who require extra support, and neurodivergent students. And I was able to look at the USBE website, and it said that nearly 83,000 students in Utah have disabilities. That's a lot of students that this would affect beyond our students who are from other racial identities as well. What I also love about this resolution is that it supports LEAs and educators so that they can better support their students as well. Some examples in the resolution that I really liked was that it provides professional learning, professional development. It implements guidelines for curriculum and instruction, and it recognizes each student's unique background, which ensures that each student has access to high quality education. And I just think, why wouldn't we want that for our students? I encourage you to take a more common sense approach rather than approaching this to repeal. Take the time to look at the ways that it needs some slight revisions. And also just looking at CRT, what it is, what it isn't, and how this resolution does not have any CRT things in it. And I appreciate your time and your care in this matter. And I hope that you think about all students as you make your decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Dory. We appreciate your comments. All right. Next, we have our final individual, CJ Wilkinson, is moved to December 8th.
Oh, they're here, and so I think we should allow them the opportunity to speak. I didn't know if they were gonna be here.
Oh, okay, great. CJ Wilkinson.
Hi, how are you? Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for letting me speak, and thanks to Andrea for being on top of emails this afternoon. I did not have time to really prepare a comment. I am a full-time working mom. I have 4 kids, 2 of which are still in public education. I want to speak on the fact that this R277 is important to my children in specific. And while I am a part of Murray Equity Alliance and Utah Alliance Coalition, and I have reason to support R277, my children rely on educational equity to succeed. All of them have. I am Caucasian. I am white as they come, and so are 3 out of 4 of my kids. The last one is one that I have custody of. But to say that this is just about race and CRT is ignoring thousands of kids who rely on educational equity. And, you know, for example, my youngest student, he relies on educational equity for a safe learning environment, so that when the class is doing something on the whiteboard and writing numbers that he can't write, the class and the students and the teacher allow him to try anyway and allow him to do that safely and securely. And because of that, he wrote mom the other day for the very first time. And he has had so much occupational therapy and so much trauma in his early life before we took him, and having him write that on his own was so important, and it was educational equity that gave him that opportunity. You know, just for another example, my 8-year-old, he requires quiet time when the class is too loud. And it's because he's autistic and he gets overstimulated. And equity allows him to go to the quiet room and to calm down for a few minutes so that he can go back to class and focus on math work or focus on reading. And that has enabled him to become the best reader in his class. He's above grade level in everything ELA. So to sit and insist that it's about CRT or even that it's about gender, which is also what is being said, is ignoring so many students like mine. And they deserve better. They deserve to be protected, and they deserve to have the opportunity to be their best and do their best. And educational equity gives them that. And I know that teachers can do it anyway, whether it's repealed or not. But the fact that it's a guideline from the state saying that this is what needs to occur and this is what we're going to do, that means something. It means something to parents like me and to kids like mine. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilkinson. We appreciate hearing of the successes of your children, and we couldn't agree more with how important it is that we continue to meet each individual student's needs and provide a safe environment where each one in their own way can grow and learn and succeed. We appreciate your touching anecdotes that you've been able to share with us. And thanks for taking the time to spend a few minutes with us. Are there any others that we don't have on the list?
Not that I'm aware of at this time.
All right, great. Terrific. We thank all of you who have spoken, and we will certainly keep your comments in mind as we move to this agenda item on December 8th in our next committee meeting. Thank you so much. And now
We'll have Elise share her screen and we'll get going on the CTE standards. Woo-hoo.
we're ready for CTE standards. Do we have
I have a motion.
yes, Natalie, go ahead.
Yes, I would move that we move the teaching as a profession or principles of educational instruction to the end of the list, since that will be a little more involved. So we can get the other things taken care of more quickly.
Okay.
I know we have Ashley here, but I would agree with that personally. I think that's a good motion, so.
Ashley, all right, if we just.
I'm here at your convenience, so I just think that one will take a lot of time, like Board Member Klein had indicated.
Great.
If we can get through the others, that would be great.
Appreciate it. So we have a motion to move the next item up, the one that we kind of began just a little brief discussion on, to the end of our meeting. Thank you, Joel. And all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Elise, we're not seeing your screen.
I don't, is Emily on?
Well, she brings that
Everyone
up.
on yet?
Can I explain something to you about a Robert's Rules mistake that I made? Like, it seemed very awkward that we needed, when we make an amendment and you vote on the amendment, we always need to go back to the original motion and vote on the original motion. But I kept thinking we need to go back to the original motion and it was the amendment, but it isn't. Your original motion was that you wanted to move those CTE standards onto the board and you're amending that. So you don't need to go back and do the amendment again. It's that you're back to the original motion, which is moving the standards itself, and then you're going to amend it again.
Okay.
So that was my mistake, and I just kept thinking that's really awkward. I can't be doing that right. So I apologize.
Okay.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks.
All right, so we have moved.
Oh,
We voted to do that? We voted and we decided to move it. So it's moved. Thank you, Natalie. So
And
next,
I have a motion. It's for our fire science and safety survival course. I move that we replace strand 13 the way it's written with the strand that I'm gonna read out. And you have the, yep, she has the language there. So it would read, students will examine various fire/building codes, including the installation of residential sprinkler systems. Standard 1 would read, explain how fire building codes are adopted. Standard 2 would read, discuss some of the arguments for and against residential sprinkler systems. Standard 3 would read, describe how fire building codes directly affect occupant and fire safety and firefighter safety. And then the performance skill would read, read the Elk Ridge, Utah Code of Ordinances, section 10-12-38, fire sprinkler systems requirements. Write a one-page paper explaining when the sprinkler systems are required in this jurisdiction and what national standards are referenced for installation.
I have an amendment to the amendment or to the motion.
all right, go ahead.
So I would move to on strand 13, end the sentence or end it at after codes and strike including installation of residential sprinkler systems. And once you get that, I'll tell you the next part.
Can you please repeat that?
So just end it after codes. So put a period after codes and strike the rest.
So up in strand 13, Elise, just keep the first half of that sentence, and after codes, strike the rest. Thank you.
Correct. And
Okay, would you like to speak to that?
well, and then I'll just
Or
add.
you have more, okay.
Yeah, so then I would strike standard 2. And if we want, we could do these as separate motions, but strike standard 2.
I wonder if municipality had those Elk Ridge. Seriously, it was like, thanks for working on those. One was scary. That didn't work.
Okay, is that it?
If you can scroll up a little bit, and then I can just, I would just wanted to look at that performance skill one more time. That would be my motion.
Okay. Would you like to speak to those 2 items?
I think we discussed it in our last meeting.
Okay, we can vote then.
Okay. We'll then vote. Do we have Emily yet?
I thought I heard her, but. Member Green, are you online?
I don't think so. Okay, then those in favor of Member Klein's amendments, the first being students will, strand 13, students will examine various fire/building codes, period. The second one was
Strike discuss some of the arguments for and against residential sprinklers.
Strike some of the arguments for and against residential sprinkler systems, so that entire standard is being struck. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? No.
No.
Okay. It's 3-1. Heavily, Member Klein with the one vote. All right. We're back to the original motion made by Vice Chair Earl. Would you like to speak to that motion?
No, I just think this cleans it up. I think some of the language that was originally used was very heavy-handed as far as pushing maybe more of an activist approach. This actually allows for an analysis of a residential area in Utah, why they chose what they chose. And then also it allows both sides to be argued and looked at those fire codes, as well as we're looking at fire codes and how those impact both the occupant as well as fire code or firefighter safety. I just think this is concise and hits the points we need.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
I lost my language, but okay. I would like to move fire science, safety and survival course to the full board. Well, on final, as amended. Sorry, I've lost my language here. Who's got the language?
Put it on first and
Here it is.
second and
Where
final.
we at? Just repeat. All right.
Just fill in.
Jenny, I
Oh, you did.
copied and pasted your email in where it's highlighted, where it was.
Okay, so I want to move the fire science and safety survival course
Okay.
on. Okay. Say it right. I don't think I have to the full board. I'm not still knowing it as amended. As amended, and forward to the full board for final approval.
Okay, we have a motion to move the fire safety to the full board for final approval.
It's fire science.
Fire science and survival.
Yes.
Survival and safety.
Fire science and survival.
Safety and survival, sorry, I had that.
There we go.
Is that right now?
As amended.
As amended. To the full board. Okay, so Member Earl moves the fire science, safety and survival course as amended to the full board for final approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I would like to make a motion. Hold on, where's my motions? I would move that we move the real estate. I move that the committee approve the real estate course standards for CTE, accepting all recommended changes into this, including, let me pull them up and I'll read them so the public has those. Sorry, real estate. Sorry. Okay, so the changes would be this, that on strand 3, standard 1, is it? Oh, you have it up there. Okay. That it's read as describe and define the economic characteristics with adding that influence land value. It would strike scarcity, the way it's defined there, and it would add scarcity as inadequate or limited supply for real estate in a particular area. And then adding bullet point permanence, the long-term and relative relatively stable investment in property. And then under location, it would add in, so too is the, okay, so it would read, each parcel of land is unique and apart from all others, so that so too is the competition, supply and demand for each parcel, and may be influenced by area's convenience, reputation, and history. Under strand 4, standard 3, we would add in a contract is a legally binding agreement. And then on that same strand at the very end of it, it says issues include mental competency, intoxication, language barrier, and minor status. So it would add in status. And then just striking using critical thinking on the performance skill, on both performance skills. So it just state students will identify essential elements of a contract that are found in the Utah real estate purchase contract, and students will identify essential elements of a contract that are found in the standard lease agreement. That's the motion.
Okay. So are there any comments or questions?
I have a comment. I just want to, those are many of the amendments that I put forward that she read off, and I appreciate that. I just want the committee to know that I did run that past our state treasurer, and he felt like that those made it much stronger.
Thank you.
Do you want me to read it and then we can vote on it? What was right?
On some of these, did you have that, Elise, can you pull up the second, can you do the screen share thing where
they're just
pull up the other motion doc? They're all in that second motion doc, and then they could see them. Sorry, thank you. The one with that's highlighted down there, right, the highlighted top.
We can see if we have additional
A minute ago.
So that was just for real estate.
No, it's not that one. It's not that one.
I looked at comments.
See like yellow at the top for today that was in today's Google.
Those were just the real estate ones, right? These ones. Okay.
It's called CTE Motion Second Group.
Yeah.
Yep, that one. And then if you scroll down to real estate, then they can see the verbiage.
Okay, we're just waiting to see the verbiage.
There we go. And so did you just read that whole thing, Jenny?
Yeah,
Like it's
I
right
read
there.
any of them that had
Okay.
changes.
So given what has just been moved and commented on, is there any additional comment from the writing committee who were involved with real estate in regards to these changes?
That would, Rachel Rout would be the one that's representing them, and she's online.
Rachel, do you have any additional comments to what was just read?
No, we're fine with those changes as they're suggested.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other comments?
I would just
Board
say,
member.
on the scarcity definition, I just made it consistent with the definition that is in the economics standards.
Thank you. Patty, does that mean you have a comment?
Yeah, so there's board member Earl's comment that we pulled over, and then we did some wordsmithing, so I want to make sure that's correct, and then be able to hear board member Klein's comment again. And the one we're looking at is the one that's moving. Member Earl moves that the committee approves the real estate standards and moves to the full board and accepts all recommended changes, including on Strand 4, Standard 3, adding the word status after minor.
Yes.
Thank you. And board member Klein, could you repeat what you asked as well?
Oh, I didn't ask anything, just made a comment. That's fine. We can vote.
Okay. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Member Green is not there yet.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay, I would like to move, I got this. That the committee approve the influencer and content marketing CT course standards with the recommended changes. And I will read through those. On standard 1, it says impressions, the number of times your content is viewed. So it would be striking is displayed, so it is viewed. And then on standard 3, strand 8, standard 3, it would say explore potential careers as an influencer, including, we'd be striking explore why students may want to be an influencer career potential in. So let me just read what it would say so it makes sense. Explore potential careers as an influencer, including average salaries, benefits, flexible work-life balance. And then on strand 4, standard 1, under the AI part, it says using AI to help with the workload of content creation, evaluate the ethics of using it and how much and how often you use it, striking especially if the copy doesn't reflect your brand's voice, and adding in consider especially the social and legal implications of using AI generated copy. That's the motion.
I have a couple comments on this. Yeah, these ones.
Please.
In my full-time job, that's why I'm always late to this meeting. I apologize. I spend upwards of $1 million on advertising, and impressions is actually one of the KPIs that we use to determine the success of our advertising. And the technical is viewed, it's actually is displayed, because viewed implies a moving video and displayed just means the ad scrolled across your screen. So technically from—
Do you want to make an amendment?
Yeah, I'm saying, or okay. Yeah, we can make I mean, it would just take it back to what it was already before as viewed or as displayed, because viewed is meaning that it's moving and not all ads are moving.
Do you want to, I'm just saying, do you want to make that motion now?
Yeah, so I guess I'll make substitute motion to go back to the original.
Amend the amendment.
Amend the amendment to
standard 1.
Standard 1 of the influencer and content marketing to go back to how it was originally written by the writing committee.
Okay, thank you.
And I was going to make another comment about, sorry.
Should we vote on that?
Yeah, we can vote on that one first.
All right, we have a motion from member Reel to amend the amendment. Unstrike is displayed, so it would read impressions, the number of times your content is displayed rather than is viewed, as it was brought forward by member Klein. Any discussion or question?
I would just say it depends on the platform, but that's fine.
Alrighty, so those in favor? Go ahead.
Can I ask a question then? I mean, is there an element of that we need to put displayed or viewed? Does that make sense? Because if that's the case with each different platform, then displayed or viewed might be a more accurate representation. It could be either one.
Displayed actually covers both of them.
Okay.
Because it's the way I like to say it in and in easier terms is it had eyeballs on it. Someone saw it in some way or another.
Okay, I'm good with that then.
Good.
Like viewed.
Right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No,
Okay.
I would just think it should be both, because displayed could mean it's just up there, but nobody actually viewed it.
Okay. Should we make that a motion? Is that a friendly emotion?
I mean, I think it's, yeah. I mean, they used to be called display ads, for example. So yes, some of them are moving, so they're viewed. So they're called views. That's another technical term you use in digital advertising is if it's viewed, that means they made it through the end of the video or the motion graphic that is displayed on the ad.
So
It's really
I would move to.
So those are the metrics that you use in digital marketing to determine success. Was it viewed? Was there an impression, or did it complete a view? And they're different things, but if we want to do them as both, that's fine. But this is defining impressions, which just means someone saw it. It was displayed, they saw it on their eyeballs.
Okay, so it appears from the way that the motion was written that all we were doing was unstriking is displayed, which means it would it would be there because that's an amendment, or is that a motion? Because did we have a motion? The motion was already made.
I think it was returned to the right.
So it would have to be an amendment motion.
Let's see.
So view is still there technically because that wasn't stricken in her motion.
It was to unstrike is displayed.
Oh.
So viewed is still there.
You're right. We probably need to change that.
Yeah, I had said originally to go back to how it was originally written. But if we voted on that already, we can.
So now shall we
So
vote
we don't re-vote on it.
on both of them? It's displayed or viewed? Does anyone want to make that motion? Is that what Natalie's doing?
Well, I do remember you saying that you wanted it to go back to the original. It just wasn't written on the document that way when we voted.
Oh, okay.
So we probably need to re-vote
Okay.
based on how you stated it. How
Do you want to leave it as it is displayed, or do you want to do displayed or viewed?
I mean, it's sixes for me. I think displayed is a much more proper term in regards to impressions. Because then, yeah, you get down into other pieces.
So we're gonna vote on just going back to the original?
Yeah, would need to.
We have to re-vote on that?
Yeah, because it was the motion you made and what was up there, what was
Okay.
displayed.
Well, then can I change that motion?
It's fine with me.
Unstrike displayed and add or viewed. Add or and omit is.
Or viewed.
So strike is also.
So, or replaces
Omit.
is.
Yes.
Replace or with is. Does that need to be written in
Is.
the motion?
Is replaced with or, right? And strike is displayed and replace. No, it's or.
Yeah.
Or,
So,
that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Mhm.
Okay,
Is displayed or viewed.
terrific.
Yeah.
So it will now read impressions, the number of times your content is displayed or viewed. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous, thank you.
All right, I'm gonna make another motion on strand 4, standard 1, to unstrike, especially if the copy doesn't reflect your brand's voice. But leave the rest of that amendment the same. Or as amended. And the reason I'd like to unstrike that is because today people are using AI as a tool to complete work quicker. So say you need to send an email, a mass email out to all of your customers or followers or whatnot, and you use AI, hey, AI, generate an email to my followers about the sale that I have on my merch or something. And part of using AI is that the AI is writing it, and staying on brand means that you're staying within the tone and the branding of yourself and your voice. And so it is actually important to talk about if it goes off brand, if you're using AI in those circumstances. Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
great. Let's vote.
Um,
Oh, Natalie, go ahead.
I just,
it's a way of saying that you can't use AI to replace everything. You still need to be personable and have a voice, not that, yeah.
so
Part of being an influencer, the biggest piece of that is your brand.
So I just, I'm not sure about this. As if you use your brand voice as it as the primary consideration, it may not be factually accurate. AI can mistake things.
If I'm understanding what Sarah's saying, it's trying to keep that in, it's trying to keep that thought process. You're thinking, what is your intent? So it's preventing, at least if I'm understanding what you're saying, it's preventing from going off what you intended it to be. So it's trying to use those, make sure you're not just relying on AI to do your work for you, but you're actually thinking, what is it I'm supposed to be doing with whatever you're doing with your influencing.
Yeah, and be cognizant that you can't just have computer generated AI things for everything. You need to make sure you're on brand.
But AI can hallucinate and it can create information that just doesn't exist.
Sure, and that's another reason why that line in there I think is important to just kind of think through if you're using AI to make sure it's on your brand, because it does represent you if you're an influencer.
Yeah, so it's speaking in favor of more human person responsible for this. Make sure you don't just sell it off to AI and feel like your work is done. You've still got to be integrally involved in maintaining the brand and maintaining what you've worked so hard to create.
How about we just then unstrike especially? Would that work?
Sure, that can be friendly, but it would need to work. And how often you use it, and if the copy, I don't know if that works. Using AI to help workload of content creation, evaluate the ethics of using it, comma, omit and how much and how often you use it, comma, and if the copy doesn't reflect your brands. Got to use the Oxford comma, make sure that's in there.
So we'd combine it into one sentence with a series of pieces.
Yeah, she wants to remove that.
I think that works.
Okay, does that look like Patty's captured it? Just a nice little comment of gratitude to Patty, who is sick at home and is typing to keep us going. Sick, it just makes me sad. We sure appreciate you, Patty. Thank you.
She was in my house. It's like,
Does that look like it reflects what we've just discussed, Sarah?
Yes.
Okay. All righty, we're ready to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Hold on, just so
no,
this is, sorry, we're just making an amendment to what was already there, right?
Yeah.
We're just okay, yeah, I'm good.
It was friendly.
Okay, so I'll read it. Using AI to help with the workload of content creation. Evaluate the ethics of using it, how much and how often you use it, and if the copy doesn't reflect your brand's voice.
I think there needs to be a comma after creation and evaluate lowercase e.
And brands, is that a apostrophe S maybe?
Can I ask one more question? If the copy doesn't reflect your voice, or if the copy is reflective of your voice?
That doesn't quite fit there. If the copy reflects your brand's voice is probably.
Yeah, that's what you're asking
That's very
yourself. Does
positive.
this, yeah, instead of it, if the copy doesn't reflect your voice. So it's if the copy reflects your brand's voice.
Is
So you're looking at-
reflective of your.
Yeah, or
voice.
reflective of your brand's voice.
Reflective of your brand's voice.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, great. We're ready to vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, so we can go back to the original content.
Now we're going back to something.
But the committee approved. Yeah, I think I made it already.
Yeah,
I'll
go back to original.
Go back more. Okay,
You want me to read it out again?
that would be great. Thank you.
That the committee approved the influencer and content marketing CTE course and move as amended and move forward to the full board for approval.
All right, that's our motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any
Let her
opposed?
get the motion down first.
Oh, yeah. We're slow when we need to be quick. We're quick when we need to be slow. Our timing's up. Our engine timing. It's a good thing we're going to aviation engines next, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So there we are. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed?
Sorry, I'm an aye.
Aye, okay. Unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, next motion, I move that the committee approves aviation maintenance 1 and 2, aviation history, air transportation, aircraft systems, private pilot and flight simulator as written by the CTE committee with any technical changes. This motion will still, okay, with any technical changes and forward to the full board for approval. And I know board member Klein had some questions, so I'm not trying to dismiss those if she wants to ask those. And I am aware of a couple of them, the motion, well, anyways, you can talk to it, board member Klein.
Okay, I don't have the questions right in front of me. I don't know if they were put on the document.
Oh, I can, you want me to pull them up for you?
Yeah, if you just want to say what they are.
Yeah, I'll ask them for you, if that's okay. Hold on just 1 second.
Yeah.
The questions had to do with, development of alternative fuel aircrafts. I don't know if there's someone that has that. Are there alternative fuel aircrafts?
Yeah, I just
I-
wondered what that was. So what are we?
Yes. I could say yes, because I did look it up. There's at least 4 to 5 different types of alternative fuels, but I don't know if we have someone that wants to maybe answer that more in a technical manner.
The education specialist that's over this course is on maternity leave, so it's like Talia, or if anybody else knows. Or is it you? Oh, sorry, Christina.
It's okay.
I thought it was Sage.
No, it is Sage, but you have to word it off for me.
Oh, good job. Good job, Christina.
No, Christina Yamada, CTE Education Specialist. No, there are other alternatives and the students we need to know about.
What are those that you found, Jenny?
They were biojet fuels, electrojet fuels, hydrogen fuels, and ammonium. And there, some of them are still in experimental stages. There were a couple of others, but these were the prominent ones.
I'm sure it's just a matter of time till we have an electric something too.
Yeah, that's the electrojet.
Electric prototypes, my husband loves.
Yeah. And then there was also a question around, let me find it. It had to do with drones. If, I don't know, do you remember that one, Natalie? I'm looking for it.
Trying to remember.
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking. No, I can't find it. My apologies, I don't see it. It had to do with drones using the. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I just remember that it was there though. Does anyone want to speak to drones in the field?
Well, I know.
You don't see it? I must have missed it then somewhere. I must have read it somewhere else. Oh, maybe, I'm sorry, maybe I'm thinking under the fire safety.
Yeah, it was in there twice.
All right. I don't know if anybody knows about the drones. I just know, and I don't remember exactly what my question was, but it does make me recall the CTE conference that happened, and they had a lot of breakout sessions, and they had one on building the drone workforce. And I would love to hear exactly what that is. I think they were trying to get 80,000 here in Utah alone, even though it's a nationwide thing. They want 80,000 drone workers here in Utah that, they're preparing through the CTE courses. Can anybody tell us what that's all about?
Yeah, so that's in conjunction with Hill Air Force Base that you're speaking about, as well as other companies as well, but the contractors would go through Hill Air Force Base. And we actually have a whole set of drone courses in and of itself. So we have a whole pathway for UAS. And so that doesn't have anything to do with the aviation. It's the same pathway, just a different route.
So I think go ahead, Natalie, and then I'll.
This is drones for military use and students that would be enlisting. Is that what that is?
No, it's contract work.
Flying.
So it's flying them, learning how to interpret their data, learning how to use it in the workforce profession, as well as we have a course that does maintenance and building and programming.
So do you have examples of areas of work that they would be being trained?
I could give you a quick one, and then we probably need to get back on, but if Representative Robertson actually, that was his work, and one of the reasons why he left the legislature is because his work was so busy with some of the things going on with the military and drones that he was gone quite a bit. So, and I just think it has to do with, a lot of things, right? You're, instead of sending personnel in, you're sending drones in to do the investigative stuff in foreign countries instead of people.
Lots of it.
And while I was sitting home with my wife
And
with
serving,
COVID, there was a special on Christmas light displays across the nation. And there is a company that specializes in drone Christmas light displays for cities. And they take 1,000 drones and they fly up, all computerized, computer controlled, and put on displays in the sky of Santa and his reindeer. And it's drones with lights on them that change a million different colors. And it's almost like a motion picture with drones up in the air to create this display. And I just thought, oh my goodness, what am I gonna think of next? It was spectacular. Luminaria looked like, loose change compared to what we were seeing with drones. So, who knows what we're gonna be using drones for? But for right now, they're thinking of a lot of things that I definitely even consider creativity to be one of the things that I like to spend time. I would never have thought of a Christmas light display.
It's better for the air when you use it as a fireworks show.
Natalie, the one I was looking at, and I thought it was a question, it wasn't, it was the explore the use and purpose of unmanned space vehicles and satellites. It was on there twice. So it was a technical change. That's why I included that in the motion. So.
Okay. So we're back then to the yellow motion. Member Earl, committee approves aviation maintenance 1 and 2, aviation history, air transportation, aircraft systems, private pilot and flight simulator as written by CTE committees with any technical changes and forward to the full board for approval. Any further discussion or questions before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm an I, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then there is one that's a single, I think there were single.
Could we get some response back to the questions about the course that somebody had just implemented in one of the districts? We all got emails about it, and they had just really gotten the program going, and now we're told that those 2 courses.
Private pilot one? Does someone want to respond to that? I don't know if you would have the information on that. I think Leah responded. We got an email about 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago. It was on the private pilot course, I believe.
And one of the school districts had just gotten it up, and then they were excited because they had great enrollment. And then they were told that it was no longer being supported.
No, I think it is supported.
It is a course.
Oh, it is supported.
Yeah.
Great.
Leah has her hand up if you.
Yeah, you want to get response from her?
Yeah, please, go ahead. Hi, Talia.
I apologize. I'm very sick as well, so I hope that you can understand me with my laryngitis. So the question is about two courses, Aviation 1 and Aviation 2. We have one teacher in the entire state who is teaching those two courses. Those courses are scheduled to be deactivated at the end of this year. Though industry folks and writing committees feel like the content of those two courses are sufficiently covered within the other aviation courses that you just approved. And as I did a crosswalk and looked at the content, I also feel like they're adequately covered in those two in the rest of the aviation courses. And so that we feel like that has been dealt with.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve, where's my language? Where's the language? That we approve digital business applications as written by the writing committee and pass to the full board.
No, wrong classes.
Isn't it the aviation?
Digital, we voted on it. Sorry. I think we're on digital business application. There's one item on the digital business application. So I'm just asking we move that one forward. I didn't catch that when I made my list this morning.
Well, we can start with that motion.
Okay, so we can, if you want to vote on that. Yep.
Okay,
It's digital business applications.
all right. Approve the digital business applications course and move to the full board for approval.
As written, I think it's as written.
As written.
As written.
Okay, finish getting this up on the board. Any discussion or further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We get Natalie's vote.
I don't know. Did we get your vote, Natalie? I didn't hear it either.
Yes, I'm a yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I don't care where we go from here. We can go business, math, and personal finance. We can go economics.
Let's go to economics.
Economics, always a great class.
It was just on my screen next, so.
Okay, economics.
All right, I would move on the course description to strike economics as a social science that studies how people satisfy unlimited wants and needs with scarce resources, and replace that with a more broad definition as found on the internet, Investopedia and other sources. So it reads, economics is a social science that focuses on the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services, and analyzes the choices that individuals, business, governments, and nations make to allocate resources. And I would, may I speak to it?
Randy, she's wanting to speak.
Can you? Yeah, you can.
I can speak to it. I just want to say this course description is more reflective of what is in the standards below. The standards mention many of these aspects that were left out of the course description. And so I think it's appropriate that they be in the course description. I also did run my amendments on the economic standards by our state treasurer for his input, and he agreed that this is makes it.
Okay.
I like the language. Actually, I think it creates greater clarity. So
Great.
I have a question about it, just only one part. that part where, is a staff over this? Oh, great. I would like to know if saying the choices that individuals, businesses and governments, I'm wondering because the description prior was so, it was more narrow and to me, the idea of economics, there are choices that are involved, but it doesn't always land on choices. Or it isn't, economics aren't always affected by choices. In that sense.
I would
like to hear from a staff member if she's available. Rachel. Hi, Rachel, or Talia.
Oh, that's Talia.
Let's see, is she? Rachel. There she is.
Sorry, yeah, I'm trying to get my camera to work. It's not turning on for some reason. So just to restate, oh, it is on now. You asked if all economic decisions are based on choices. Am I understanding what you're asking?
Just on this new rewrite, which, I mean, there's no the only red flag that I saw in this rewrite was that it seems to focus on choices.
Right. That's the main concept we're trying to teach the students is that there are financial and economic choices, and in a given day they have choices they make.
Okay. I just didn't know because that was the emphasis of choices makes it seem like it's all about choices in this rewrite compared to the rewrite of the writing committee. So I just wanted to make sure.
I think in the course description, we're mostly just trying to do a brief description of what's inside of the rest of it versus elongating it. We're just trying to summarize quickly. So I think that's why we had a more succinct definition for economics right there.
Okay, perfect. Then I'm good. Thank you, Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Ready to vote?
Yes.
We have the course description, a motion from Board Member Klein. Economics is a social science that focuses on the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services, and analyzes the choices that individuals, business, governments, and nations make to allocate resources. So, everyone in favor, say aye.
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 That's unanimous. Next.
I would move to amend standard 1 to strike wants and needs are, wants and needs are limited, but resources are limited, resulting in scarcity, and then add that scarcity, supply and demand, costs and benefits and incentives can explain the allocation of resources. So I've got that in there twice. So you could take the that out. And then strike, well, you see, there you go. And then strike the bullet points as listed there and add the following bullet points. Supply and demand. Demand holds that the demand level for a product or a resource will decline as its price rises and rise as the price drops. Conversely, supply says higher prices boost supply of an economic good, while lower ones tend to diminish it. Costs and benefits. The consideration of potential rewards expected from a situation or action, and then subtracting the total costs associated with taking that action. And incentives reward that which increases the likelihood of a particular outcome. So I think the S needs to be, I don't know if we need the S on rewards or not. Incentives reward, let's see, incentives rewards. Incentives reward that which increases the likelihood of a particular outcome.
So I do think the original definition to me was limited in and of itself. I don't think it fully articulates what economics is, or the using economics, using the main idea that, I think this broadens it out. I don't know if the definitions are too robust or if they're just enough, so I can't speak to that. I think I like where we're at on this. I don't know if those definitions need to be a little more simplified for this course. Who are we reaching out to on this? Is this Talia or Rachel?
Yeah, I guess to add on to that, my main question is, to me, this standard is about teaching students about how markets work, right? There's supply and demand and scarcity, and the market works because something is a need. And then if it isn't a need, then it diminishes its demand. So the idea, the main principle that I feel like students are trying to learn is just basic market understanding. So this seems a little robust for that.
And I do think we need to be using the terms that we use in economics. So that's why I do like the scarcity, supply and demand, cost and benefits. So I just wondered on the definitions, if those are adequate. I don't know, Rachel, do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, for sure. We're aligning with our concurrent enrollment through universities, and we're mirroring more than one different textbook that the different teachers across the state use when we create these committees. These teachers were looking for definitions that are student friendly, that are clear. I do agree that this is a bit much for anywhere from a 15-year-old to a 18-year-old definition, but it is a concurrent enrollment class. So if this is what the committee wants to do, I'm happy to oblige, but it is a lot longer than needed.
With that being said, go ahead, Natalie.
I would just remind you, I did have this reviewed by our state treasurer, and he said that these are much more accurate than what was there before and make it much stronger. And I don't know why we would. I mean, these are simple definitions. They might be a little lengthier, but they're simple, and they get to the point. They make it very clear what we're talking about. It's not something that a high schooler could not understand. And so we might as well teach them accurately with definitions that are clear and concise and encompass the full, give a full picture without overcomplicating it.
And these are, so there's CTE course, so are as continuing education, which would be credit, right? Through a college, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess my point in saying that is that the language should reflect that too. So I feel like this language puts it more in order for that. And I understand you're probably trying to accommodate different textbooks, different courses, but I do think, I personally think that this is a clear language when it comes to, if you're getting credit for it at a college level, you want to use the language, not just needs and wants.
For sure. I will say we typically stay away from websites definitions because we don't like to have to vet everything on a website. So using something like Investopedia verbatim is not what we typically do. We try to write original definitions.
And that's why I took it to our state treasurer to have him look it over for accuracy, so that it wasn't just pulled from a website, but he could verify that this is accurate and correct. And I think it's important that we be careful not to, dump down our students and not give them what they can easily handle.
So if you're ready to vote.
I would hate to be in a classroom with a state treasurer.
I believe that Emily is also joined us online, or Member Green.
Okay. All right, we're ready to vote then?
Yes.
Emily, we're ready to vote on Member Klein's new definitions of supply and demand, costs and benefits and incentives. And we're in the economics class. Standard 1 is what we're looking at right now. Did your daughter have a wonderful experience?
Yes, she did. She did wonderful. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad that you could be there to experience that with her. That's awesome. Welcome back to work, the workaday world. All right, ready to vote then? All those in favor of the standard 1 changes, which are define economics using the main idea that scarcity, supply and demand, costs and benefits, and incentives can explain the allocation of resources. Supply and demand. Demand holds that the demand level for a product or a resource will decline as its price rises and rise as the price drops. Conversely, supply says higher prices boost supply of an economic good while lower ones tend to diminish it. Costs and benefits. The consideration of potential rewards expected from a situation or action, and then subtracting the total costs associated with taking that action. Incentives reward that which increase the likelihood of a particular outcome. Any question? Let's vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No.
No.
Aye.
And Emily, we have 3-2.
Okay, I have a motion on strand 1, standard 4. And it's so it would read, define the following economic systems, it strikes and puts in explain how they answer the 3 economic questions, and then adding in and evaluate the outcomes of each system. Or do I need to wait?
Just still getting the.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. So it's did you get that okay then?
We're good. Thank you.
I think that's clean of that question. Oh, no, should I do the whole, all right, let me do the whole strand there. And then down under command economy, just in parentheses, it says socialism and communism is, and you striking an economy, is a system in which production, investment, prices, and incomes are determined centrally by government. And then market system in parentheses is capitalism, is a system in which production and prices are determined by unrestricted competition between privately owned businesses. So I took the language from the code and just put it in under the command system where it uses it there within the code itself. So.
Okay. Comments or questions? Seeing none, are we ready to vote? Member Earl's motion, strand 1, standard 4, define the following economic systems. Explain how they answer the 3 economic questions and evaluate the outcomes of each system. Provide examples used in countries around the world. Traditional economy, it continues just as it was written, and then under command economy, adds in socialism and communism in parentheses. Is a system in which production, investment prices, and incomes are determined centrally by a government. Then under the bullet point, market economy, in parentheses, capitalism, is a system in which production and prices are determined by unrestricted competition between privately owned businesses. Ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? It's unanimous. Oh, sorry, Emily.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, then under standard 5, it says discuss various.
We
didn't hear who said, someone said I was a no.
Emily, can we get your vote again, please?
Is it member Klein that was a no?
She said aye.
Or is it member Klein and member Green? Can you restate your vote?
I said yes.
I said yes.
2 yeses.
There was a no that popped in there, and so we weren't sure what happened. Thanks.
Okay, then under standard 5, am I okay to move there? I have a little different language because I have some feedback from some staff, so I want to see if this language will work. So it says discuss various economic theories. The
comma,
Yeah, comma, the economists who develop those theories as they relate to market, comma, and economic consequences of each theory. So that needs to be, I don't know who's typing. Is that Patty?
Patty and Elise are helping.
Okay, so
It takes a team.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the red that I do have there because they said that historical outcomes associated, that gets maybe a little bit, you're getting into a lot of more information, but if we just put economic consequences of each theory. Do you need me to read that again? Or are you okay?
Is that look correct?
It's not the
That's
same
on
as
the
you.
board, Jenny? Or can
Let me
you
look.
restate
I
it?
think that's what you said.
And the economic consequences of each theory. Yes, then you can take off economies. So it would be, yes, it would be correct.
Okay, questions? Go right ahead. It's reality.
Can I would like to amend the amendment. So on the bullet point, explain Adam's, so I would keep what she has and then just add at the end of Adam Smith's theories of the invisible hand and laissez-faire in capitalism.
I don't think that question for Brooke.
Can you repeat that part? So what did you want to do with that piece right there?
Just add in capitalism at the end.
And I have a question for Brooke. That's all right.
Question for Brooke.
Rachel.
Rachel.
Rachel, I apologize. Rachel, is that accurate? I mean, I read a lot of Adam Smith in grad school, unfortunately or fortunately. Adam Smith is ingrained in my brain. And I can't recall if Adam Smith only referred to the invisible hand in regards to capitalism, or if it was just about basic economies and markets and the free market. In fact, part of like his big idea and philosophy Adam Smith had was about free market. And so I'm just wondering if adding in capitalism narrows it to a space where you can't openly talk about Adam Smith and his philosophies on economics.
Yeah, I don't think he was limited to capitalism at all. That's not my memory or my understanding of his theory. So I would agree with you, but I'm happy to do some research and get back to you if that's something you want me to do.
I'm 90% sure that that is true as well. And so I'd speak against this amendment.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
No, I'm not sure. I'm for adding that. I don't know whether it works or not. So I'm just saying that out, right? I just don't have enough knowledge to know whether it works or not. So.
Okay, I would just say laissez-faire capitalism is an economic theory of free market capitalism.
Right, but it's also talking about the invisible hand there, which is, I don't think it's necessary. If the purpose of this standard is to talk about Adam Smith, I wouldn't focus it on capitalism.
That the invisible hand part also relates to capitalism.
Not
and
fully.
letting the market adjust itself through supply and demand without the interference or manipulation of government.
Right. He's like the original libertarian. I mean, I understand that. I just don't think that, I think you're limiting it. I'm not going to die on this hill, but I'm just going to speak against the motion. So I'm happy to vote.
It's characterized by a lack of government regulation and oversight in the market. That's what it is. And that's capitalism.
Okay.
Okay, we can vote on the amendment.
All right, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
No. That fails, 3 to 2.
So we can go to the bridge, yeah.
Now we go to the original motion. Which is highlighted there, discuss various economic theories, the economists who develop those theories as they relate to the market, and the economic consequences of each theory.
Okay, so you cut it out. Okay, got it.
And then all the rest of that. So that's,
They just said it. Yeah, I just was.
this is the real motion.
Yeah.
Okay, are you good with that, the way it's
Yeah.
done?
Yeah.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay?
No, because I don't think you can talk about economic theories without including capitalism. That's
So
ridiculous.
basic macroeconomics is so much.
Member Green?
No.
Professors and principal Smith lovers. Okay. Natalie, did you have one at the end of that on regressive? Is that attached to this one? I'm sorry, my paper's broken off, so. Here's what I have. Regressive, is that what's next?
Well,
I just in trade rate regulation.
There's this
It's regulation.
strand 3, standard 5.
is there one that didn't get on the chart? Is that what you're saying, Jenny?
No, regressive tax system. I'm trying to figure out that. I think that was under that section. I just want to make sure we didn't miss something.
Well, I hope
maybe not.
If I put it there, I hope that it made it on the chart, because otherwise.
Actually, it's down further. My apologies. It's down further. I just have my paper. I think I've got them in the wrong order when I stapled. So.
Okay, I can see it's coming on down.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would move to amend strand 3, standard 5. I think it's supposed to say strand on those, right? It says stand on all of them.
Yeah.
So strand 3, standard 5, to add and regulation to the end of government licensing and regulation.
Okay, so we have a motion to add and regulation to government licensing and regulation for patents, trademarks, copyrights. Would you like to speak to that motion?
Nope.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Next.
I would move to amend strand 4, standard 1, to strike any item and add a current medium of exchange before widely accepted as payment for goods and services.
So
not wildly, but widely.
And I'll let you speak to it and then I have a comment on it because I'm trying to understand anytime current seems to be limited to today, whereas money throughout, we refer to money from different ages as money still. We don't refer to it as something different. So I don't know if you can speak to that. And in economic history, the history of economics, it's like bartering. I mean, it was like, selling fur, that would be considered a currency, right? In different eras. So yeah. Natalie, do you have any insights on that? I'm just trying to understand why it would need to change.
It's just too broad when it any item widely accepted as payment for goods and services. We need a current medium of exchange.
I think your question is about current. Can you just say a medium of exchange widely accepted as payment for goods and services?
Yeah, the current part is the part okay.
That would be fine.
Yeah, that makes more sense. It was the current. It had to be something we were using today versus medium of it. Yeah, I'm good with the medium.
Any item that's just way too broad and unspecific.
Great. All right, I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Wait.
And Emily?
I think it was supposed to be a medium. Was it a medium or any medium? A medium.
A medium of exchange widely accepted as payment for goods and services.
Yes.
I was for that.
You are, what was that?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so that's 4-1. Okay. We're next on strand 4, standard.
All right, I move to amend strand, strand 4, standard 3, to read, describe how policymakers use fiscal policy defined as government taxing and spending to accomplish their goals regarding the U.S. economy. Explain John Maynard Keynes' theory on economic stabilization through government intervention, and then add this bullet point, F.A. Hayek's theories, which act as a counterbalance to Keynesian economics models, Australian School of Economics, and then the rest as it read.
I would like to make an amendment.
There's some more verbiage below this.
Oh, can we scroll down?
I do, just
Okay.
tiny.
And then I would.
Can we do these two separate? We do these two separate?
Sure, that's fine.
That's great, let's go back
I
up.
just have a tiny question. I got the luxury of reading Hayek also in grad school. My professors were big economists and they loved Hayek. So I would get my degree taken away if I chose not to add him here, but he was an Austrian. Did you mean Austrian School of Economics?
Oh, yes.
Not Australian? Okay.
Correct. We can change that. Thank you.
And can we make an amendment to it? I would like to strike which act as a counterpoint to help me say it. Keynesian
Yeah.
economics models, and add in, ready, Patty? You guys miracle workers from above.
Are we gonna just strike that so we can see what it changes instead of delete it?
Strike which act as a counterpoint. Yes, strike that and add in on money. So it's his theories on money and economic fluctuations. And then you can leave in the parentheses. So you're gonna add his on money and economic fluctuations. And I think that's what he won awards on. So.
I'm glad I have to take this class.
Actually, it sounded fascinating to me.
Oh,
I gotta look at.
That's wonderful. Isn't it great that there's so many different people with different minds, different interests?
Chair, yeah.
Let's go with,
May I just make one? It doesn't have a verb in front of it. The rest do explain John Maynard's, and then it says discuss the main economics. This just says F.A. Hayek series.
Okay.
It just-
explore.
Do you want to explain as well, Natalie? So it's the same?
That would be fine. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Patty. Was that Patty?
That was Patty. Yeah, that's great. So we're doing this first one first, then we'll go on down to the bottom.
Yeah.
So Strand, we have member Klein has
You're on
made
the
the
amendment
motion.
to the amendment.
Amendment.
Strand 4, standard 3. Adding in the second bullet point, explain F.A. Hayek's theories on money and economic fluctuations, Austrian School of Economics. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I'm a yes.
Thank you.
Okay, then we gotta vote on the whole thing.
Now we're gonna vote on the. Do you?
We just did, yeah, but we just did the amendment.
Always
We
the,
amended it, so now we've got to vote on adding it in.
okay.
Does that make sense?
But
Right?
Can't we do the other one first and then?
We don't have, oh, we're saying we don't have to, because we just voted on, okay, yeah.
Okay, great.
Michelle,
So
say-
now we're down at the bottom. There we go.
Okay, so I would move to strike from the regressive bullet point, decreases with income, and add as income increases. It's more accurate.
I would like to make a substitute motion for the definition of regressive. And I would like, let me tell you what it is, and you guys tell me if I'm off, all you political. It's a tax that is applied uniformly regardless of income.
That would be a Rachel question to make sure.
Rachel?
I feel like.
I believe we talk about more than one tax system, progressive, regressive, and I believe there's another one.
Sorry.
That's not included in this sheet right here. Let me look at this.
That's, may I?
Please, go right ahead.
What the definition that she just gave is what we would refer to as a flat tax, not a regressive tax. So regressive is different than flat tax.
Okay.
So a regressive tax hurts those who make less more. It hurts those who make less more than the average person. That's what a regressive tax is. So if you wanted to add maybe a third bullet point for a flat tax with that definition, I think that might work. Yeah, proportional tax.
We can leave it the way it is. I regress, well, yeah.
So then you would withdraw your motion.
But a flat tax is, I'm just trying to help me think through this, maybe. And it does impact those who make less more, but it's applied uniformly, meaning that everybody pays, like groceries, everybody pays it the same tax, but it's going to impact individuals.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yeah.
When you say applied uniformly, you could say a percentage uniformly, and that wouldn't be the same to everyone. So uniformly doesn't mean the same always, because if I said you have to pay $10 in taxes to everyone, that would be uniform, but it wouldn't be uniform if I said that you have to pay 30% of your income. So the word uniformly by itself doesn't mean the same.
So a regressive tax, a good example of that would be the lottery.
Tax burden.
Okay, so there's
I'm
something
withdrawing
missing.
mine. What's that?
There's something missing under regressive there. Natalie, so a tax system where the average tax burden something as income increases.
Yeah,
Should decreases remain in there or?
Let's see, a tax system where the average tax burden decreases. So, okay, so I don't think it's supposed to be stricken there. Tax burden decreases as income increases is what it should say. The tax burden decreases.
Okay, that makes more
as
sense.
Income increases.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
We asked.
So it's just with income that is stricken.
Okay, that makes more sense. It wasn't making sense. That's why I was like, okay.
Yeah,
You want the S on
Yes, keep
decreases.
the S on decreases.
Okay. In case I didn't withdraw
Thanks,
my motion, I
Patty.
am, right? Did I withdraw it already?
So
Okay.
a tax system where the average tax burden decreases as income increases.
Yes.
Then progressive
Okay.
is tax rates rise as income rises.
Okay.
Okay. Are we ready to vote on this? All right. And that motion was withdrawn, so we're now with member Klein's.
No, go back up.
So not original.
So we are voting on striking with income and saying regressive. a tax system where the average tax burden decreases as income increases. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Unanimous.
Great.
I was an I, just for, I'm slow on the mute, sorry.
Thank you.
All right, I would move to amend Strand 4, Standard 4, to add or to strike monetary policy tools to stimulate the economy or control inflation. And then I'm going to change the wording on the addition here just slightly. The following, so where it says green, the following monetary tools to obtain economic objectives instead of manipulate the economy.
Obtain economic objectives.
Yes.
Which. All right, so what do we have? I use this. I don't know if she wants to speak on that.
So it would read, examine how the Federal Reserve uses the following monetary tools to obtain economic objectives. And that was a suggestion from the state treasurer. That
Rachel, do you have any thoughts on this? I liked the original, how it was written, the monetary policy tools to stimulate the economy or control inflation. That's the way that I understand the reserve.
Yeah, obviously the 4 teachers from around the state that wrote it felt that control was a better verb, but it's fine. Obtain economic objectives works as well.
Okay.
Chair, may I speak?
Of course.
I just want to point out that if it says the following monetary tools, but there's no tools following, do we want to put tools there?
There might be. That's what I was just trying to find. Are there tools listed?
Well, the tools are the monetary policy tools. Those are them. You use those monetary.
Right.
They're policies.
I just didn't wonder if we put the full. You know what I mean?
I mean, for example, like the stimulus checks during the pandemic were monetary policy tools to stimulate or balance the economy. And that's part of what the reserve does.
Okay.
So that's why the way it was
Okay,
written,
it
that
works.
felt better to me. Yeah.
Okay.
So we wouldn't want the following.
Right.
So it'd
If
be
there's-
monetary tools to obtain economic objectives, right?
Yeah, if there isn't anything listed after that, I don't have the full document in front of me. Then it would be good to take that out, but can somebody double check if it does list anything after that?
Rachel, do you?
So what they were saying is that the reserve uses monetary policy, like you were saying, board member Real, that that's what they use to obtain their objectives. If we wanted to combine the two motions, or
So it would be monetary policy.
monetary policy is the tool they're using to
Is
obtain.
anything listed in the standards after that? Were there tools listed? Because I don't know
No,
that I can put
we're talking about
following.
monetary policy. That's the tool.
So
When they
I'm
make
just,
policy is the tool they're using.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just asking if in the standards, in the full set of standards, does it list anything after that bullet point?
Tell me what the strand is and I'll look.
Strand 4, Standard 4.
Strand 4, Standard 4.
Sorry. Talk about discount rate, reserve ratio, open market operations further down.
Okay, but nothing listed right after it.
Right.
So if we added policy before tools, I think that would fix the problem.
Agreed, I think that's important.
Okay, so we have a motion from Member Klein. The bullet should read, examine how the Federal Reserve uses monetary policy tools to obtain economic objectives. striking monetary policy tools to stimulate the economy or control inflation.
Technically, we don't need to strike monetary policy tools, and we just need to add to obtain economic objectives.
Okay, so examine how the Federal Reserve uses monetary policy tools to obtain economic objectives. Okay, great. Ready to vote? Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, say no.
What was that, Emily?
Yes.
Okay, oh, it's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to move that the committee approve economics CT course draft 1 and forward to the full board. Draft 1 as amended. Sorry, and forward to the full board for approval.
We have a motion from Vice Chair Earl to move the economics course.
I have another one. It's just not on the chart. It was regarding a graphic. What page?
Sorry, I thought that was the last one. Go ahead.
I think it's on page 121 of the full document, but I don't know if that can be brought up, that graphic. One page from page 121.
I think they inserted the graphic as they did in the other one.
But is there something?
Yeah, I had questions about the graphic.
Do we have them?
I don't know if It was in
Rachel-
one of the versions. I think it was in the original motion document with the notes that you sent over right before our first standard meeting of the month, which was two standard meetings ago. Three. Standard
Leah
meetings ago.
sent me some graphics.
Right about the one in the middle?
Yes, Andrea, I sent you those two graphics today.
Is that
One
the
was for
ones we're
this
talking
course.
about? Okay,
Yes.
hang on one second and I can pull them up. I forwarded them to you earlier today, but then I got caught up in public comment emails and now I'm trying to find it. There it is.
Great.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen for a minute so we can talk about it, if that's okay. And then you guys tell me what your questions are. Is this the one you're talking about?
No, I don't remember. There was another spot where there was a graphic, but where a graphic was supposed to be, but it wasn't there. And maybe so it just would be good to go and make sure that that's in there. But this isn't the one. It's the economic one. It looks like kind of a mask as far as the flow of money and services.
Do you have it on your screen that you could share, Natalie?
I don't have it on my screen.
I don't know if I have it.
I don't show a graphic for economics. Rachel, are you? Go ahead.
I can find it.
Yeah, I have the graphic if you want me to share on my screen. Are you talking about the flow of money, the circular flow of money? Is that the one?
Yes.
Fine.
I believe so. So it has government in the middle, markets above that, and resources below government, also to the left and businesses to the right. I do have it on my screen now.
Rachel, can you share yours or your screen?
Sure. Yes, I believe I can. Is this the one, Board Klein?
This is the one, yes. So Yes, my question is, maybe somebody can explain, this is all the verbiage above it says, describe how voluntary exchange between households, businesses, and governments creates a circular flow of money, products, and services. So I'm looking specifically between household and government. The two lower arrows, taxes, that's not voluntary. And then, so I'm wondering why that's, we're identifying that as a voluntary exchange when taxes are not voluntary. And then the labor and other resources flowing from the household to the government. What is that? What are labor and other resources that flow from households to government?
I think they're talking in terms of people working for the government there. This was kind of
but this is
mismatch of a couple of economic textbooks that showed the flow of money. And this is what the committee came up with in kind of replicating and taking it from a few different sources.
Yeah, it just shouldn't be there. Labor, households don't labor for the government. We don't provide resources to the government. Business might provide resources and labor for the government. And so that other arrow on the right, it shows money, or sorry, goods and services flowing from government to business, I would think would, could go both ways, possibly. But the taxes from the household to the government shouldn't be there because it's not voluntary, or we need to change the verbiage so it says voluntary and required, or something that differentiates. And then that lower arrow from government to business, I know government provides services to businesses, like military or police, or things of that nature. But goods, what goods does government provide?
I think it could be debated that they provide some goods and services to households.
Is there some examples? Can you give me some examples, some concrete examples?
Well, I mean, there's different services by our welfare system, our Medicaid.
I know the services. I'm fine with that. It's the goods. What goods
does the government provide?
What goods does the government provide?
I'd like to explain.
Sorry, it's somebody else wanting to talk.
I don't know why. The only thing that came to mind was the I voted sticker. That was like the first thing that came to my mind. Yeah.
That's
okay.
Yes.
I mean, I guess there's subsidies that are definitely part of the goods and services that are supplied by our government. The things that the farmers create that they're subsidizing.
What about roads? Oh yeah.
Yeah, our different civic.
I'm just trying to think of things. I mean, there are things that the taxes do provide for us, and some of those. I want to food in the child nutrition programs. Education. Yeah. Yep. Education is one of those.
The subsidy.
It's a public good. So education, emergency management. It's like
this is to business. Specifically from government to business, not
and
just
that does count. So if my business is on fire, if I call the fire department when my business is on fire, I don't need to give them a credit card before they come to my shop.
That's a service. And I said service is that's accurate. Service is accurate. I'm looking
but the actual definition of that is called public goods. That's the definition. There's private goods and public goods.
I can think of like vaccinations and things like that in recent history that was again subsidized. It's an actual product that somebody created.
To businesses, government provided those to businesses, or I think that would be businesses providing that for the government, because the government doesn't create vaccines.
For sure, it was a government contract, though.
But that's different. So the arrow should be going the other way, because government doesn't produce anything.
So what would you have me do with this graphic?
I don't know. Where did this, I'm just wondering where this visual came from, because it's really not an accurate presentation.
So it came from aspects. More than one text that different teachers on the committee used. It's a conglomeration, a kind of a mashup between a few different textbooks and how they represented it. So it's an original. We try to create original graphics and not
So
use
we can
copyrighted.
fix it
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that it's accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
So
If
I
that's
would
what
take,
you would like us to do.
yeah, I would remove the arrow that says taxes from household to government and the labor and other resources. So those two arrows between household and government, the two bottom arrows, and and then that one to the right between government and business, I would take out goods. You could put subsidies in there if you want, or grants. That would be more accurate.
I hope somebody else is taking notes too, so I get this right.
Gather. Okay, so I'm trying to think through this. Natalie, you're saying that households do not provide taxes to the government? Like they don't?
No, it's not voluntary.
Yeah, if we strike voluntary at the top though, because you're right, that is true.
Describe how exchange between households, businesses, and governments creates a circular flow of money, products, and resources. Yeah, that would be fine for that. So as long as voluntary is out, but labor and other resources from household to government, I think that would need to go.
I mean, 50% of my family works for the government, the state of Utah. So I do think that labor.
Well, that would be individuals, which could be,
it's not on the chart though. So it's saying households. So
well, it shouldn't be
family. 50% of us are working for the state of Utah.
So household income, household spending, there needs to be something different because households don't work for the government. Individuals do. That's a big difference.
I mean,
it doesn't work for the government or labor for the government or provide resources for the government.
I would put individual labor versus go out to the house. Can we put individual labor on that one then?
To be honest, this was a complicated graphic to create as is. Adding more to it would be difficult. I think we just took household perspective, kind of representing just like a family versus individuals. Then we've got to address very different individuals.
And the idea here is not like, this is a one day of the course that you examine this, right? So
we want it to be accurate.
This is on a top level piece, we're not, it's something that they're trying, that the idea and the concept of this entire piece is to help students understand that between all of these different areas, markets, businesses, government, households, there are resources and dollars that are moving throughout, and that creates the market.
Yes, that makes total sense, but it also needs to be accurate. We don't want to perpetuate falsehoods because something on the diagram was not accurate. Accuracy.
Would you be happy with individual labor? Would you be happy if we just added individual labor to that labor line?
Maybe government employees. But that's not reflective of all households. So it still leaves something to be desired.
I think
whereas taxes are reflective, wages, salary transfers. I mean, everything else looks good because you have labor and other resources going. I mean, you've got labor with that down arrow to resources, but yeah, people. Even then, if somebody's working for the government pays them. And any taxes that they pay back to the government from their paycheck, that would be included in the top arrow under taxes. I think that bottom arrow needs to be removed. And I think goods on the bottom arrow on the right needs to be removed.
This one right here. It's goods on this side. Or
At
goods
the
on.
bottom. So that bottom arrow on the left.
Okay.
That says labor and other resources flowing from household to government. That needs to be removed. And the arrow on the right from government to businesses, strike goods.
This is like a
from government to business.
Okay, noted.
Great.
Okay, have to make a motion.
Make a motion.
Would that need to be a motion to?
Yes,
It's
we
called the
just need a-
circular flow model. It's like used in federal reserves.
Is that, can that verbiage that you just wrote, that you just typed out, Rachel, be added to the motion page?
Sure, yeah. I'll do that.
Thank you.
This is like a flow, maybe, this is like a theory of circular flow. Best demographic, but it's this idea.
And Rachel, is it possible for you to send me a copy of the graphic too with the verbiage on it so that I can include it in the record?
Yes, I'll do that, Andrea, right now.
Individuals, so they're sending resources. That resources could include labor too, so it could be simplified to just resources. This is cool. I don't know if my brain can. Oh, it's economics. One second. But I guess the idea is it's all about this circular flow model, and there's probably different ways of doing that. But they probably, when she said she could find it, that makes sense.
Okay, so
Is it?
our motion is
the motion written up? And that verbiage that she wrote above the graphic.
I think Patty's probably getting it.
Okay.
Kind of like that too. It does show. It's all circular, right? It's interesting. Factor markets are the government considered that.
Help me again with that last sentence. Motion to change the graphic as reflected in the discussion to include in the standards representing.
The first part is to strike the word voluntary.
It's the circular, what was it called? The circular.
Right.
Right, okay.
Yes, but then we would be removing the bottom left arrow between
circular
home and government.
It's called circular flow model.
Okay.
So it'd be the circular flow model.
Yeah, I think that we can go back and get that piece and then have those changes that were, because I'm pretty sure, Rachel, you were making them as they were being stated, correct? So we can insert that model. So let's go back one more time and make sure that model's correct, that we did those things. And then if we have them, then I can put this in here, circular flow model. So motion to change the graphic as reflected in the discussion to include the circular flow model as amended.
And the verbiage by striking voluntary. The verbiage in the standard. Just the word, or just strike voluntary in the standard.
okay. We have have a motion to change the graphic as reflected in the discussion to include the circular flow model and verbiage in the standard, striking voluntary in the standard.
Do we need to say change the graphic as reflected or change the circular flow model as reflected in the discussion?
Okay, that's great. Motion to change the circular flow model as reflected in the discussion to include and striking voluntary in the standard.
And striking voluntary in the standard. Instead of to include the, just take out to include the.
So just get rid of to include the, and so reflecting the discussion and striking voluntary in the standard.
Yes. So add and after discussion and then
striking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. There we go.
Good job.
There we go. Motion to change the circular flow model as reflected in the discussion and striking voluntary in the standard. I think that's it. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No,
I'm a yes.
I'm afraid I'm abstaining. I just feel like I gotta have a, anyways, I'm just abstaining from this. I don't feel like I have enough information to make a decision. I just haven't studied the flow chart.
Okay.
So
we have one abstention,
one no.
one no, and 3 yeses.
okay. Natalie, do you have any others?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
Go for it.
Yeah, did we have that written up already then? Okay. All right, so I move that the committee approve economic CTE standards as amended and forward to the full board for approval.
There's our motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I have a question. Are we allowed to move this course forward without that graphic being voted on once it's completed? Or is that, I don't know if Patty knows.
The changes were all written down on the
Okay.
top of the
Yeah.
graphic.
Okay, I just didn't know if there was like a standards piece.
The changes were all, she was noting them, Rachel
Okay,
noted the
perfect.
changes on the graphic, so it wasn't just reliant on the verbal discussion.
Okay. Then I'm an aye.
Okay.
I just want to make sure.
Okay, so I think we voted and it's unanimously moving forward to the full board.
Okay, I just have, Emily, by chance, did you get a chance to look at the photography? I know you've had a busy day. The very end of that, the Skills USA part.
I haven't.
Okay, would it be better to wait on that then?
If possible, yes.
Okay, I just thought, just because that would be maybe 1 or 2 motions there. What else do we have? Business finance? Is that next? Anybody want to yell out there?
I think so. It's at the top.
Okay.
Oh, business office specialist. Is that the very beginning? You want to do that one? I think it's the first page.
I think we already passed that.
Oh, we did?
Did we?
I don't think so.
No, we have not done this one yet.
haven't done this.
Oh, my apologies then. Let's do business office specialist. I move that the committee approve the business office specialist CTE course, draft 1 and forward to the full board for approval. I think I do have an amendment on that, but there's only 2 possibilities there, but.
So I would move to amend.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And I would move to strike real world. As it is redundant. I mean, just create a project software. So it says use word processing software to create a project. And then the language is.
Ready.
Okay. Strike the real world. We have that motion from Member Klein. Any discussion or question? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
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 No. No. So that passes what?
Did you
3-1?
He said yes.
He said Emily vote?
I think she said yes. Is that right, Emily?
Yes.
Let's get that.
And I would move to amend standard 1, if we can.
We have, Patty, we have 3-2. Is that what you guys?
Yes. I believe
Okay.
that's what happened. Yep.
Okay, I move to amend standard 1 to strike modern day so that it reads identify, define, and modify a slideshow by learning the essentials needed for the office. Since, and I would just speak to that and say modern day is always changing, and so it's always going to be training for whatever the current is without, it's just unnecessary.
I agree with that, actually. I don't know that modern day really adds anything to this. So,
I think of modern day, I think of 1920s.
So it's a dated language.
Early
So-
modern building. All right, ready to vote? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think that was 5. Emily, I think you were 5. It cut out on us. Or did you say yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, I would move to amend standard 1.
I think that's the next one. Natalie, you want to check business math and personal finance?
So do we
Oh,
need to
sorry,
pass
that's
we
fine.
need to pass the class
Okay, so
out
we-
first?
The class now.
Okay, so we're now back to the passing the class with member Earl's motion that we approve business office specialist is amended and forwarded to the full board for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, are we moving on to that next one?
Yes.
Business math and personal finance.
Okay, I would move to amend standard 1 to strike community and add county or region, as it's more more clear as to what we're talking about. Community can be described in all sorts of ways.
I would make a substitute motion that we leave in county and region and just add community. All right, can I make that motion? Okay.
Is there a definition of community?
The area in which you live. It could be precinct, it could be ward, it could be, yeah.
Could be anything, so.
Or it could be, but it could be broader than just a county and region.
Unincorporated?
Or it could be smaller than that too.
Are we gonna add a definition?
I don't think it's important.
Well, community also incorporates these days different identity groups and such. It's just way too broad. It's not specific enough.
Is it okay in addition to county and region? Just another option.
I would vote against it.
Wow.
Economic information, it's not kidding. It's data and economic information.
Community, county, or region.
All right, ready to vote?
Okay, ready for a vote then? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Emily? That was adding community, keeping community and adding county and region.
Instead of striking community.
Instead of striking community and adding county or region. So it was using all 3 words, community, county, or region.
Aye.
Aye, okay. It's 4-1, all right. Next.
All right. This is that next one.
Chair, I think that from what you read and what we had here, I'm not sure that we did it correctly. So are we leaving in all 3 words?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, leaving in all 3 words. Thank you.
Each place that it's used. Okay. Whose is this? Is this
I
mine?
think this is yours, because I don't think I made changes to this one, so yes.
Okay. I would move to amend standard 3. To strike, to be a viable business, there should be a demand or a need for the product or service, and add viable businesses may create or fulfill an existing demand or need for a product or service, considering the risks of an oversaturated market and potential for profit. And then striking and not an oversaturated market potential for profit. And then do we want to do that separate from the part below? Why don't we do that? Why don't we just vote on that part first, and then I can do the next part.
So conduct market research to improve the sustainability potential in the industry. So is that a new sentence then? Viable businesses, capital?
Just reword it.
Placing what you strike.
That's not nice. I think it's. You're leaving them empty.
Does that look like it reflects what you
Yes.
said? Okay. Any questions?
No.
All right. Those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Now the bottom part.
Okay, so the next part would be to I'm trying to remember if costs of goods graphic, and so that would be would that be a strikeout? Was that already there? Cost of goods graphic place. Oh no, that's where the graphic, I think, is that the one that was missing in the standards? There was a graphic that was missing, so I couldn't look and see what the graphic said.
It's been sent.
It's what?
It was
Is that
sent.
the one that Talia sent me? Do you want me to pull that up?
You can show us what that graphic is supposed to be, because it wasn't there for us to look at.
Let's see, where did I see it? Let's see.
Beginning inventory plus purchasing during the period minus ending inventory equals cost of goods sold. All right, I'm gonna have to think about this one a little bit more, and if it's a problem, I'll bring an amendment back at full board.
Okay. Now let's go back to the motion.
Can that be sent to us, please?
Yes, I believe I already did, but make sure. It was kind of a crazy afternoon.
Okay. So we have the documents up on this. I don't see the document anymore.
Okay, I'll forward it to the committee again. Sorry.
Yeah, just a minute. They're just switching over, Natalie.
Okay.
From one screen share to another, so.
Okay, so I would move to strike profit margins and add operating profit margins. We gotta fix the spelling there. And then, so it would read operating profit margins, the amount of profit usually expressed as a percentage that a company makes per item sold. And then it would strike the formula there that was shown in the graphic, and then add revenue minus direct and operational expenses slash revenue equals operating profit margin. So I would probably change the graphic also to reflect the change in
Rachel,
verbiage.
I just have a question on this one. It seems like there's two definitions here, like we're not just, profit margin is one definition, operating profit margin is another. Am I right in that? I'm not in the sphere, but that would seem like you would actually have two things there. And so I'm trying to figure out if we need both or if we need just one. I guess I just don't have it in the frame of whether they're both needed or one over the other.
So
Do you have
the context, sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
The context of this class is it's typically a remedial math class that combines with the second semester being a general financial literacy class. So we're keeping it pretty basic here in our equations that we're using. So I would suggest that less is more, to keep it just like a simple version of profit margin versus getting into the weeds with these students for this class.
So let me ask a question on the class. This is not a C as continuing AI continue. Okay, and if I'm understanding this right, a student that might take this class might also not take calculus or pre-calc. In other words, they're trying to get a math credit, right? And this may not be their strong point. Am I understanding that right?
Absolutely, yes. Oftentimes this class will be taught in a rural setting where the teacher has a math endorsement and a CT endorsement. So depending on what the student needs in that class period, they can be getting a remedial math credit or a CT elective.
Okay.
So it's pretty basic.
Yeah, I don't see this as overly complicating it. Again, I think we shouldn't be dumbing things down, but we should be accurate.
Sure.
I think anybody that's wants to know how to run a business, as small as it may be or rural as it might be, I mean, it's knowing how to do this is a gift. And I like that high standard. I think this is a great way to help even a fourth grader understand, if they want to sell lemonade, then there's that whole process right in front of them. And I think they could do well with this. So I do support it.
Would it be more helpful if we wrote out the word minus on revenue minus direct? Because sometimes the way we use hyphens, it seems like we're making one word there. Until we get down to the equals.
Or subtracted.
Or subtracted or
By
something.
the cost of the goods sold, divided by the revenue equals profit margin. That seems.
Yep.
Wouldn't operational expenses be the cost of goods sold? Used to operating. Yeah, it's just like cost of goods sold can include direct.
Well, subtracted doesn't work because that's turning the operation around. Subtracted by, it's revenue minus direct and operational expenses.
Sure.
Good.
And then we can take out the equals, yeah. Yeah.
Any further ideas, questions?
I would also ask that the graphic be updated to reflect this formula.
Okay.
Yeah, Patty, can we add that on?
Or the graphic needs to reflect the changes in the motion made in the motion. Well, we need to, motion to update graphic to reflect the formula as amended.
Okay, so we're calling it operating profit margins. And the formula under the bullet is revenue minus the direct and operational expenses divided by the revenue equals the operating profit margin. Motion to update, the motion also includes the update of the graphic titled operating profit margins so that it reflects the formula as amended.
Yeah, probably change the they so it reflects.
Okay, ready to vote?
Yep.
Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
Right, so that passed.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, I would move to amend this section under the bullet point website. I don't know what strand this is, or standard this is, but strike URL address or a free version with domain name registration, as that is more accurate.
Okay. Any question? Ready to vote? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, I move to amend standard 2 to explain so that it, I don't know if we can, once we roll up, scroll up and read it.
It's just kind of at the very end, her new amendment, right?
Okay. All right, so down at the bullet point where it says sales price, you would amend it to add client or distributor. So it reads sales price charged per unit or service to a customer, client, or distributor. So I'd probably put a comma after client and then add this additional bullet point that says e-commerce software or online marketplace fees.
Questions? Comments?
Actually, just wait just a second. I'm just looking where it's at. It's just a very, very specific piece of the bullet, but yeah, it's way too granular to me in this course. So Natalie, can I just ask a question? Are you, and maybe after Natalie answers, I can ask Rachel as well, but the e-commerce software or online market fees, I guess I'm just trying to, because it is so specific, I'm trying to understand. I'm just wondering if there could be a broader term used there that would, fees associated with online business or something versus a very narrow tailored. That would work, something like, does that make sense?
I just think that these are just common things that are used. I don't think it's overly specific.
Software fees.
Just online marketplace fees, that's pretty broad. And e-commerce software could be any software to, for you to set up your online business. Those are as generic as terms as I could think of.
Could we just do online marketing fees? Or do you feel like that doesn't include the e-commerce software element to it
The
too?
software is, that's important. That's how you run your business, is using the e-commerce software. And then you have marketplace,
all right.
online marketplace fees as well.
I think those are, I mean, if we're talking modern day, even though we strike that e-commerce software, online marketplace fees is pretty relevant.
I'm not suggesting it's not relevant. I'm just wondering if we're leaving something out that needs to be incorporated. Does that make sense? Like, I have no problem with these, but I wondered if there's a broader catchphrase for the fees associated with that when you're doing an online kind of a business. That's all I'm asking.
Well, I'm sure that if there is something, you could, obviously bring that and make an amendment during full board if there's something you find that could be added to it.
Okay.
All right, ready to vote? Let's vote. And we have the Natalie Klein amendment to add sales price charge per unit or service to a customer, adding client, or distributor, period. And a new bullet, e-commerce software or online marketplace fees. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no.
No.
No. There's 2 no's. Passes 3-2. Okay, standard 3.
Okay. I would, once we scroll, we can do it. All right. So I would move to amend standard 3 to add a 3rd bullet point at the end that would read venture capital, a form of private equity that funds startups with scant operating history but growth potential.
Okay, so just 1 second. I'm just trying to find it in here because I wanted to make connections where it's at. You don't have a page number, do you?
I don't. Sorry.
That's all right.
Standard 3.
Standard 3?
Yeah.
All right, I'm skimming down through, see if I can find it here. That's not. All right, so it's adding, you're just moving to add venture capital, that one, or are you adding?
Yep.
Okay.
It's an important one that was missing.
I
I
don't hate adding venture capital, but I'm wondering why you use the word with scant operating history.
Well, because that's what venture capitalists usually do, is invest in those that have growth potential, but don't necessarily have the history, the operating history to go get financed.
I don't think that's always the case. I think sometimes people could have a history of operations, but have not been funded to their greater potential.
So do you want to strike? Maybe.
I mean, I
scan operating history.
Yeah, I would just say startups with growth. I would just say venture capital, a form of private equity that funds startups with growth potential.
Is that friendly?
I would keep growth.
Yeah, I have also has it on there. Just startup to fund startups with growth potential.
So keep growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
All righty, we have a motion before us. Adding venture capital, a form of private equity that funds startups with growth potential. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We've got ayes all the way across. Thank you.
Okay, hang on just a second. I'm just plugging in my thing is dying. Okay, so I would move to amend whatever standard this is that we're on. I can't see that, but
7, I think.
so we would add I'm not sure why I have a few bullet points later in the standard. So I guess it's down a ways, but I would add, explain the pros and cons of receiving grant money. Did we already vote on this? It says passed unanimously below it. I don't remember voting on this.
No. Where are you at?
So we divided this one.
Yeah, it's. They voted on it.
Sorry, my bad.
Andrew misunderstood, so thanks for
So
finding that.
this,
There's the motion passed unanimously before that, where you're at.
so where the GoFundMe above that got passed unanimously?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we're in
Thank
the
you,
add
team.
bullet, explain the pros and cons of receiving grant money.
Uh-huh. I'm not sure what that first line is. It says a few bullet points later in the standard. I don't think that was my verbiage.
Did you have other changes, Natalie, than the ones that are shown here?
Did you include all of my changes on the chart? I should be asking you. I hope that they were all incorporated into the chart.
I think she's asking because you have a few bullet points later in the standard. That's why she's asking.
Oh, right. Because there was like a gap that she didn't have amendments to. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So that's what I meant.
Okay. Yeah, no, just this, I guess.
Okay, so we're gonna vote on grant money. Explain the pros and cons of receiving grant money is an added bullet. And Natalie is recommending. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? No. 3-2. Passes 3-2. All righty.
Okay. I would move to amend standard 7 to strike.
Is that just a,
It's just a clerical, I think, unless something else was supposed to be there, but yeah, the should was.
Down at the bottom. Yeah, the should is, I think, it's just a clerical error, but you do have something under FERPA.
Let's look at this.
And we just, would we
How
use
did
just
you
the
word
same
it before,
FERPA?
Jenny?
What?
How did you word it before on the other
So
standard?
we just moved to use the same definition we had before, right?
That we used in
That we
the
already
other standard, that in the firefighter standards?
No, it was in the education.
Oh, teaching as a profession. Yeah, okay.
Is that okay, Natalie?
Uh-huh, that's fine.
So we just need
Do
to
we
make.
need a new motion for
I don't
that?
even know if we've defined, well, we might as well.
I think we probably should.
Okay, let's do.
It could, so I guess what it would be the motion to approve to insert the definition already approved by the committee or
In the-
FERPA.
Yes, for the other, in the other set of standards. Teaching as a profession. Was the other set of standards.
Teaching as a profession standards. Okay. We have a motion to insert the definition already approved by the committee in the teaching as a profession standards. And the definition is the definition for FERPA. Right?
Oh, yeah, we should add that in there.
So
Motion,
motion
the definition of FERPA.
FERPA. Or of FERPA. Okay, already approved by the committee in the teaching as a profession standards. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? We have 5 across.
Hey, I make a motion. I don't think we have more. Do you have any others, Natalie?
Is there any down below?
Well,
It goes to business digital applications after this one. Are you good then? Yep. Okay, I move that the committee approve, well, what's the name?
business, math, and personal finance
Yep.
standards.
Business Math and Personal Finance Standard, CT course as amended on draft 1 and 4 to the full board for approval.
Okay. We have a motion that the committee approves the business, math, and personal finance CTE course standards on draft 1 as amended and forward to the full board for approval. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye across. There you go. Thank you. Getting close here. Is there anything that's quick?
And the community and public health, are there 3 in that area or more? There's quite a few, huh?
There's, well, one is a question, and then there's a couple of amendments that she's proposed.
Is it just 3 amendments? Yeah,
We could potentially.
is that right?
Yeah, and yourselves.
Is it just 3 amendments?
Yeah.
Am I reading that right? Okay, so should we go to community and public health? Is that okay with everyone? I think there's,
So Darren was gonna take over driving, if that's okay.
And just so you know, Elise has been like, we are co-piloting this. And so Elise, thank you so
Thank you,
very
Elise.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Community health and public health, seems like it's a community.
there's 3.
Okay, there's 6.
Oh, there's 6? Okay, maybe I,
But a lot of them.
oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay.
Are you guys okay to stay over if we aren't quite done, or?
Another meeting down in
Oh, yeah, there's,
Huron County.
Okay, so do,
it's, it can load, it's fine.
okay,
It's up to you guys.
maybe we've got 5 minutes too. I don't know if there's another, is there another concise one?
I mean, I'm just trying to keep track, but it looks like we have, the ones that we have left are teaching as a profession 2, principles of education instruction, the commercial photography 2 and 3, strand 7. We just did the business math, cross that off, and then we have the public health. So is there any that I'm missing, Talia? Or any?
Can I suggest maybe?
Nope, that's correct. You've got them all.
Klein had and then hold on to the amendment.
That's a good idea. Is that okay? In the last 5 minutes? She wants to, sure.
Okay, it's okay, either way, I'm fine with it.
That would be
I think
great.
that's a good use of time.
Excellent. Let's do the question.
Making a suggestion.
So what is that question?
For those of you guys online that maybe didn't hear that, we're gonna just discuss the questions but not have any amendments so that we at least have that part of the discussion done.
Okay.
On the
Community health.
community health course.
Community and public health.
Right, good.
What were the questions?
So it was member Klein, asked some questions on strand 2, standard 2. The standard states identify and analyze public health and intervention strategies currently being used within local communities. And then the bullet points are primary dash preventative, secondary dash screenings, and tertiary dash management. And Klein, member Klein wanted to know what are the definitions of preventative screening and management in this context. So are you okay if so I'm not sure if you want me to add the definitions, if you want me to give definitions and we just talk about it, but.
If you can tell us what the definitions are, and then we can decide whether to add those.
Okay.
I think it's
Sure.
important because I think it's important to have the context.
Sure.
So
in a primary intervention is a preventative measure. So what we're trying to do here is prevent disease or injury before it happens. So think seatbelts, think bike helmets, think sunscreen. So we're using health promotion intervention strategies to try to mitigate a problem from happening in the first place, if that makes sense. Okay. In our screening intervention, what we're looking at are screening individuals to identify risk factors that might be able to be mitigated. Think mammograms, think cholesterol testing. And what we're talking things we can control. Obviously, we can't control genetics, we can't control age, but things that we can do things about. And then in our tertiary area, what we're doing is we're managing somebody who already has a disease, an injury, or an illness to try to get them back to either pre-injury illness condition, or if that's not possible, to a better quality of life. Think diabetic, traumatic brain injuries, cancer, those types of things. So that's what that's the working definitions in this context.
Okay, can you describe again the difference between preventative and screening? Because like a mammogram, I would think is a preventative.
It can be, but you're screening somebody who is in a certain risk category. Does that make sense? You're not going to do mammograms on the general public, but usually on women over a particular age. Whereas preventative is everybody needs to wear a seatbelt. Everybody, if they're on a bicycle, should wear a helmet. Everybody out in the sun should be wearing sunscreen, that type of thing. So screening is usually, again, individuals that either to identify risk factors or are already at risk, and we want to see if there's things that we can do and suggest or provide interventions to help mitigate risk factors.
What would an intervention look like for prevention or preventative?
It would be maybe a dietary recommendation. If you know, it could be
but preventative is this a?
So we're trying.
All voluntary, or is this? I mean, is this like something that is being universal?
It's basically promoting health to prevent injury, disease, illness.
It could be. It could be. I'm just thinking what the schools often do. Like they'll have the health department will come in and do it. Something with brushing your teeth or bike helmets, right? Where they might do a crossing the street safety with bikes or something. Correct. So correct.
When you say screenings are for those in a certain risk category, does
you go into your doctor's office and they do a blood test and oh my heavens, you have high cholesterol.
But does preventative mean it's for everyone then?
Correct.
Regardless if they have risk factors or not.
So we're trying to reduce any new cases of skin cancer by promoting sunscreen use.
Right.
Things like that.
I understand. Yeah, I understand the basic premise of all of these words.
Sure.
I'm just trying to understand what we're trying to, like, how intrusive is public health and these intervention strategies? How are they going to be on the general public? Is it just
we're just
advertising like, okay, remember to wear your sunscreen, it's sunny outside, or is it becoming a micromanaging kind of prevention system?
Again, this is just the CTE level, so this high school level of public health, community and public health.
Right.
We're not getting into all of those details. We're just informing the students of all of these different ways that they reach out to the community to talk about health related items.
I'm just going back in my mind to the fire science and safety standards and the 16 initiatives where the students are being trained in this kind of what could be seen as political activism. And if this is because government continues to grow and government continues to be more and more intrusive, I just want to make sure that we are not using the kids to build a new system of public health and public health intervention strategies that will then be forced upon the general public and through these same kind of initiatives that the fire science or the fire national fire standards does, because that is the way things are tending to go. And so that's why I was asking for more context within for these based on, I don't know all of the ins and outs of how this is being presented and how the students are being educated, if they're being educated, because almost all of these areas where you're training students to go into certain areas of work, they all have a political bend to them. And I want to make sure that we're not pushing the political side of these areas of work.
I understand, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but now that you've heard the definition, I hope you understand that this is not some scorch the earth conspiracy theory. It's just teaching people about sunscreen and talking about mammograms, which is the education part of is core to the community and public health.
And I understand that. I did nursing, and I know that the nursing field is very has a very political side to it, where they do a lot of lobbying and advocating. And so it wouldn't surprise me that it especially when it comes to public health, especially after the whole COVID instance, where things became very rigid and all people were forced into very tight corners as far as their compliance with government intervention for public health.
I just want to know if that definition is enough that she needs. I don't need to hear all of her theories.
So Natalie, are you wanting a definition included for these in here, or?
That would, I mean.
Just a basic definition of them?
Yeah, I would like a basic definition, and I would like to, maybe find out if there's anything more to this. I just think we can't ignore that after what we went through for 2 years, and this, just the hardcore approach that government took for public health. I don't want that to become the new normal as far as training the youth that this is how it is, and that this is their role in the community if they go into public health, is to violate people's inalienable rights.
Great.
So we'll pick up, well, I guess we pick up wherever, right?
Wherever you want.
Chair
Booth, may I make a personal point of privilege, please?
Certainly.
I had missed the first hour and 20 minutes of this meeting because of this other commitment. I do apologize for that. I had just wanted to address the thing with the 328 to the public. The emails keep pouring in, and I'm very disturbed by the perception that this was, as one person in all caps, very, very underhanded. I think it is our responsibility to let the public know that this was not underhanded, that all of on the board member side that had put this forward, that our T's were crossed and our I's were dotted, and that there was the oversight of attaching this to the public. And I also wanted to clarify that this was never intended to go to a committee, that this was always intended to go to the full board. Because when things are brought to your attention that you need to address, that things might need to be addressed within a rule, that is the very obligation of the job and our duty. And this is why that conversation was being requested to be brought forward. So I think the public deserves to understand that there was communication beforehand, well before 24 hours, and that this was not the board members trying to be underhanded. Actually, the people involved have actually been trying to be quite transparent, honest, thorough, respectful to all of the working parts of bringing forward a rule for discussion and possible repeal. So that needs to be made very, very clear. And, that was denied today for circumstances that I hope that they will understand. And I need to clarify that so that everybody understands what is going on. Transparency was always the goal. To throw this on the agenda was never the goal. To come to committee was never the intent. It was always to come to full board for this discussion. And we take that job of accountability very seriously. And so that is the work of the board. And moving forward, we hope to create some productive dialogue around that. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'd like to make a comment too, just so that we're aware that what Board Member Green is saying is accurate. Her and Board Member Carey and Board Member August did ask her to go for the full board, and leadership chose to go through a committee. Unfortunately, and she's accurate in this, there was an error, and I don't know with personnel, it should have gotten out before now, and that was an error on an individual's part, and so I hope public and individuals can be courteous of that. There was no intention. It was intention to go out earlier so it could be in committee today. So I just want people to be aware that their intention was to go to the full board. And we felt like there needed to be more dialogue around that. So just so there is full transparency there too.
And I think the public understands, if they did show up today online, that we understand there was a mistake and there was an error made, and so we choose not to consider it at all in the meeting and postpone it to a meeting where it could be lawfully presented in the way it should be, in a timely manner.
Board Member Green, do you think there needs to be, and maybe we need to have some kind of a broader public narrative so that people know that was, so that you're not being accused if that's what's happening? I don't know. I'm sorry, I haven't, if there's emails coming in that way, but that it was not meant to be underhanded or deceptive on the agenda today with the late notice, it was an error, it wasn't a deliberateness. Do you feel like there needs to be a public discussion about that, like something sent out?
I think there needs to absolutely be clarity. And I think part of that too is that this item for us as board members, on our side, it was posted. And so we prepared. There is work as board members when we see things on agenda that you put extra effort into what's coming forward. For the integrity of us engaging in future meetings and knowing that we can come to these meetings and have a solid foundation to engage in, I think that it only serves everybody, and most importantly, the trust of the public. And that's important to me. And we're only in this position because the public we're having because of that. So I want clarity.
Yeah, one other comment on that is that the intent was, because if we got through the standards, it would to be addressed the items that would have been on next Friday's meeting, because then we would have needed to have an additional meeting. So that's the reason why those were put on this meeting in the first place, thinking that within 6 hours, we might be able to get through the content, be able to not have to have a meeting just for 2 items. And so that was the intent of that. So that the public's aware of that as well.
Yeah, and I think that, and it's just a quality check. I think we get better every time we have a meeting, and I think this is just another level of quality that we can double check, that when items are, when there's that much engagement for an agenda item to be put on, that we make sure that the public gets their fair chance. So thank you, I appreciate that.
So our intention is to address this at our Friday meeting next week, where it is on the agenda and will be posted for the public to see.
It is on the agenda, yes.
So I have a comment. If it was always meant to go to full board and not committee, I would just like to make a motion that we forward it to the board for the full board's consideration. And let the full board decide on instead of the committee.
It's not on today's agenda. We postponed it till next week, so
we can't do any motions on it.
I don't know what we could.
Did we formally postpone it? I don't believe we did.
Yes,
So.
yes. Chair, remove it from that. It was formally agenda.
So the chair can just remove it without a formal motion.
The chair sets the agenda.
Yes. Well, the intent was we didn't give the 24 hours notice. And so because of that, it was, there wasn't adequate, speaking to what board member Green was speaking to, is that transparency. Feel like we didn't give adequate transparency to the public. So there wasn't a way to keep it on. It didn't feel like it was the right thing to keep it on the agenda at that point.
And I would make the same argument that moving to the full board as a motion right now would be the same
Well, we're not voting, we're not making a recommendation to the board, we're just moving it to the board for the board to decide.
Right, but even just deciding on that now would be the same as talking about it when it hasn't been posted. Do that. I don't feel comfortable doing that.
Well, I would also say that the rest of the agenda was not posted 24 hours in advance either. I've been waiting and waiting for it to show up and checking again and again, and none of what we talked about today was posted 24 hours in advance. It was all late in coming. I didn't get it until this morning.
It was on the public notice website.
Yeah, that one was public, was put on the public the public notice website when our secretary was able to post that. I don't know if it was a week ago or when she posted it, but it was back originally before we made any additions to.
Whose responsibility was it to have it posted 24 hours in advance to the public?
So it would have been one of our staff members. I don't necessarily want to be throwing someone under the bus, so to speak, right now, but if you want to call me later, I can have a conversation about that. So it was an error.
We were told in an email more than 24 hours in advance that was going to be on the agenda. Why wasn't it added to the public notice at the same time? And why wasn't our agenda posted to our board docs until this morning?
Natalie, she made an error. That's what I'm saying.
It sounds like I know that board member Green and board member Bogus and board member Perry did their due diligence, and they made it was discussed in ample time ahead of when it could have easily been posted before even the 24-hour requirement. And so the fact that it was left until this morning to be posted publicly and sent to us even our agenda being posted for the board members wasn't done until this morning. It sounds like more than an error to me, but
it isn't an error. I mean, it is an error. It was not deliberate. And if you want to give me a call, I can talk to you about the process and how we met. But right now, it'd probably be appropriate that I'm happy to carry on that conversation with you. So,
and the goal of my comment, honestly, is just that in transparency, that the public understand there are many, many working parts to agenda items, and that I want to be clear where the hangup happened, and that it was for the full board intent always, and that every
leadership also has the prerogative to make a decision to do otherwise, is what I understand. And they did decide that they wanted to go to committee.
Absolutely.
I've made several suggestions to leadership that I wanted something to come to the full board, and they've sent it to committee, and that's just, I've accepted that as leadership's prerogative. And
I'm speaking directly to the people that are saying, that this was in the dark, nefarious, underhanded.
And it was not. What you're saying, board member Green, is accurate.
Yeah.
Yep, it's accurate. It went through the right process. The time frame was accurate. It wasn't raised. It wasn't any of that. So your statement is accurate. So.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's adjourn, and we will see you soon. Staff. Thank you.
Are we to the point where we're matching outfits?
Yeah.